My name is Hannah Sloan, and I'm the Teen Services Coordinator here at Poplar Creek Public Library.
And I am Tom Burnham, the Teen Services Assistant here at Poplar Creek Public Library.
And today we are here to talk to you about some wonderful books that have come out in the last year or so for teenagers. And we are going to start. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with one of my favorites that I've read recently. It's called Michigan versus the Boys by Carrie S. Allen. When the girls' hockey team is disbanded, Michigan Manning's teammates find other ways to play hockey or quit the game entirely, leaving Michigan to help coach her little brother's team. Realizing she can't live without playing hockey, she tries out for the boys' team and does better than many of the boys. When she joins the team, the hazing begins. With no support from the coach or her team, she wants to prove that girls are just as tough as boys. She takes everything that the team hits her with and tells no one what is happening. When the pranks cross the line, Michigan has to decide if she should speak up, knowing that it could end her career in hockey. There's no sugarcoating or holding back in this book. If you aren't prepared to face the ugly truth of what hazing can be, especially when it goes too far, then you shouldn't read this one. It is a powerful book that will keep a reader going straight into the wee hours of the very morning.
First book I want to talk about is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. It's been 18 months since the Raxter School for Girls was put under quarantine when the tox hit and pulled Hetty's life out from under her. Everything, as the tox hit, started slow. The teachers began to die off one by one. The tox infects the students, turning their bodies into strange and foreign things. I think a few of the girls have feathers for as part of as a side effect of the tox. They are cut off from the rest of the world and left to fend for themselves on an island that they now call home. No one dares to wander outside the school's fence, where the tox has turned the woods outside into a very dangerous place to roam. As the tox seeps into everything around them, a cure was promised to be sent from the mainland. There still is hope that cure will come, but as the months go by, hope starts to fade. When Bayet goes missing, Hetty will do anything to find her, even if it means breaking the quarantine and braving the horrors that lie beyond the fence out in the woods. And when Hetty goes searching for Bayet, she learns that there's more to their story, to their life at Raxter, and more than she could have ever thought was true.
Okay. From that to a little historical, okay. The Warrior Maiden, book 9 in the Hagenheim series. It can stand alone, so don't worry about that. It's by Melanie Dickerson. Mulan's father has died, and she and her mother will be kicked out with nowhere to go unless he can go off to fight, or in lieu of her father, his son. But since Mulan is an only child, she dons her father's armor and goes to war instead of marrying the butcher, who is too like her father. Wolfgang and his brother Stefan leave Hagenheim with several other soldiers to help their father's ally in Poland. When they arrive, Wolfgang is exasperated by the young soldier Mikolai, who seems to either always be one step away from disaster or showing Wolfgang up in embarrassing ways. When Wolfgang discovers his former rival and reluctant friend Malachi is actually a girl, he is determined to protect her. But battle is a dangerous place where anything can happen, and usually does. A retelling of Mulan's story, this, like I said, is book 9 in the Hagenheim series. Historical Christian fiction, this is a series of books that anyone will love if they enjoy retellings.
And in a way, my next one's kind of a retelling, but not. I don't know. It's called Teeth in the Mist by Dawn Kurtak. And it's actually based on the Goethe story Faust, who makes a deal with the devil, if you know the story. Before the birth of time, a monk uncovers the devil's tongue and dares to speak it. The repercussions of speaking the tongue will be felt for generations to come. In 1583, Hermione, a new young bride, accompanies her husband to the wilds of North Wales, where he plans to build the largest watermill and mansion in the area. but rumors of unholy rituals lead to a tragic occurrence, and she will need all of her strength to defeat it. In 1851, 17-year-old Roan arrives at Mill House as one of 3 wards, and all of them have something to hide from their new guardian. When Roan learns that she is connected to an ancient secret, she must escape the house before being trapped there forever. In the present, 16-year-old photography enthusiast Zoe has been fascinated by the haunted, burned-out ruins of Maiden Mill House for as long as she can remember. And she's also looking into why her father went crazy, which is also connected to Maiden Mill House. She and her best friend, Polton, run away to explore Mill House and all of its history. After they get there, they feel like there's this other presence of the house, which makes them think they aren't alone. And if something were to happen to them, who would know? Because they didn't tell anyone that they were going to do this. 3 different women in 3 different centuries, drawn together by one unholy pact, a pact made by a man who more than 1,000 years later may still be watching.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so from the creepy to not, Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. Zainab is the only hijab-wearing Muslim in her class, and her teacher finds new ways daily to make her classmates think that all Muslims are bad people. Angry, Zainab is passing a note back and forth with a friend of hers in class when she is caught drawing a knife, part of a fork and knife picture she was going to add to her friend's "Eat Them Alive" comment. This drawing gets her suspended a week before spring break. Her parents decide to send her to her aunt a week early for spring break instead, so off to Doha, Qatar, she goes. But on the flight, she meets Adam, a Muslim college boy going home for spring break. Adam recently found out he has the same diagnosis as his mother, who died from this disease. So he's stopped going to class and is spending all of his time making things, hiding his illness from everyone. When he sees the girl in the hijab at the airport writing in a journal just like his own with the title Marvels and Oddities, just like his, he knows that meeting her is something that has to happen. They spend a week meeting over and over and again and start to fall for each other, but both Adam and Zainab are putting on acts, pretending to be what the world wants to see. Their real selves are only revealed on the pages of their journals. A love story that has characters fighting to be themselves. It's a story with great heart and great passion.
Next one I'm going to talk about is a historical fiction set in World War II called Voyages in the Underworld of Orpheus Black by Marcus Sedgwick. Harry Black, a conscientious objector, artist, and firefighter, is battling the blazes of the German bombings in London in 1944. He wakes up in the hospital to the news that his brother Ellis has been killed. In all the delirium that he has from being wounded, his mind begins to blur between what's really going on with the war in London and the fiction of his unpublished sci-fi novel, along with the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Driven by visions of Ellis, that Ellis is still alive, Harry sets off on a search for his brother, which will lead him into the depths, into the city's underworld. And the illustrations by Alex Deakin are wonderful in this book about depicting Harry's descent from into the underworld to find his brother. Orpheus does pop into the narrative here and there, but it's only to kind of give encouragement to Harry to go find his brother and encouraging him that his brother is still alive.
Okay. Yes. From that to Rated by Melissa Gray. Everyone has a rating, and your rating can go up or down based on the slightest thing. The higher it soars, the more valued you are. The lower it plummets, the harder you must work to improve yourself. For the students at the prestigious Maplethorpe Academy, every single thing they do is reflected in their ratings, updated daily and available for all to see. But when an act of vandalism sullies the front doors of the school, it sets off a chain reaction that will shake the lives of 6 special students and the world beyond. This is an alternate future dystopia. The mystery behind the vandals and the notes they leave behind for the 6 students is what makes this story. Be ready for a very odd gathering of teens that may change the world for the better.
From dystopia back to horror. Curse of the Evil Librarian by Michelle Knudsen. It's actually book 3 in the series. But I will say that you can read this as a standalone. You don't need to read the other 2 books before to understand this one. After sending the evil librarian, Mr. Gabriel, back to the demon world once and for all at theater camp last summer, Cynthia is ready to enjoy a completely demon-free senior year of high school, especially when she learns that the fall musical they're going to do is Les Miserables. She can't wait to create the most incredible sets for the play, and her boyfriend, Ryan, is sure to land his dream role as Javert. Down in the demon realm, an epic mishandling of Mr. Gabriel's essence leads to his escape. As he gathers strength, he is hell-bent on getting revenge against Cynthia and everyone she loves. Yeah. And like I said before, you can read this as a standalone. You don't need to have the other. They do reference stuff from the first 2 books, but you don't need that to. You don't really need that to understand this book.
Okay. From that to Sky in the Deep, the first book in the new series, by Adrienne Young. Raised to be a warrior, 17-year-old Aylin fights alongside her Aska clansmen in an ancient rivalry against the Riki clan. Her life is brutal but simple, fight and survive, until the day she sees the impossible on the battlefield. Her brother fighting with the enemy. The brother she watched die 5 years ago. Faced with her brother's betrayal, she must survive the winter in the mountains with the Riki in a village where every neighbor is an enemy, every battle scar possibly one she delivered. But when the Riki village is raised by a ruthless clan thought to be a legend, Aylin is even more desperate to get back to her family and her clan. She is given no choice but to trust Fisk, her brother's friend, who sees her as a threat. They must do the impossible, unite the clans to fight together or risk being slaughtered one by one. Driven by a love for her clan and her growing love for Fisk, Aylin must confront her own definition of loyalty and family while daring to put her faith in the people she's spent her life hating. Part Wonder Woman, part Vikings, and all heart. Not sure if you can really call it historical, but it reads that way. A powerful story of survival, betrayal, and love. And book 2, The Girl the Sea Gave Back, just came out.
Next one I'm going to talk about is How We Became Wicked by Alexander Yates. And it's kind of sci-fi / horror. 40 years ago, a play called Wicked spread throughout the world. It was carried on the wings of the singers. The virus went from the mouths into the veins of the people they bit. The wicked took away your compassion, your kindness, your imagination. Basically, it took away everything that made you human and made you who you are. The population falls into three different categories. First are the wicked. They roam the world freely. They don't want much, only to maim and dismember you. Not to worry. They ask politely first. Second are the true. They live in contained, isolated communities. They are the lucky ones, as they found safety from the singers. Even though the threat of the wicked is not gone, for the true, the threat has been contained. The third group are the vexed. They are even more lucky than the true. They have survived the sting of the singers, and they are immune to the wicked virus. Even with this immunity, they are not safe. The vexed hold the key to a cure, and there are those out there in the world who will do anything to get that cure.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
From that to, American Royals, the first in a series by Catherine McGee. When America won the Revolutionary War, its people offered General George Washington a crown. 2.5 centuries later, the House of Washington still sits on the throne. As Princess Beatrice gets closer to becoming America's first Queen Regent, the duty she has embraced her entire life suddenly feels stifling. Nobody cares about the spare except when she's breaking the rules. So Princess Samantha doesn't care much about anything either, except the one boy who is distinctly off limits to her. And then there's Samantha's twin, Prince Jefferson. If he had been born a generation earlier, he would have stood first in line for the throne, but the new laws of succession make him third. Most of America adores their devastatingly handsome prince, but two very different girls are vying to capture his heart. This is an alternate present, our own royal family drama. All the mayhem of being royal exposed in this fun and interesting tale. I myself kept asking, how could that still have happened if we had a monarch on several occasions, but I still loved the story.
And from royalty to basically the original fake news story. The book is called, it's a nonfiction book called Spooked, How a Radio Broadcast and the War of the Worlds Sparked the 1938 Invasion of America by Gail Jarrow. In the book, Gail Jarrow explores the famous War of the Worlds radio broadcast that happened in 1938. She looks into the background of the artists behind the broadcast itself, and the aftermath, and all the repercussions that happened, especially with a lot of people using the whole fake news thing, and everything is relevant today. On the night of October 30th, 1938, thousands of Americans panicked when they believed that the Martians had invaded Earth. What appeared to be a breaking news story about an alien invasion was in fact a radio drama based on H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, performed by Orson Welles and his Mercury Theater players. Some of the listeners became angry once they realized that they had been tricked, and the reaction to the broadcast sparked a national discussion about fake news, propaganda, and the role radio had in all of that.
Okay, let's talk about Mirage by Samalia Dodd. In a star system dominated by the brutal Vathic Empire, 18-year-old Amani is a dreamer. She dreams of what life was like before the occupation. She dreams of writing poetry like the old world poems she adores. She dreams of receiving a sign from Daya, that one day she too will have adventure and travel beyond her isolated moon. But when adventure comes for Amani, it is not what she expects. Kidnapped by the regime and taken in secret to the royal palace, she discovers that she is nearly identical to the cruel half-Vathic princess Miriam. The princess is so hated by her conquered people that she requires a body double, someone to appear in public as Miriam, ready to die in her place. As Amani is forced into her new role, she can't help but enjoy the palace's beauty and her time with the princess's fiancé, Idris. But the glitter of the royal court disguises a world of violence and fear. If Amani ever wishes to see her family again, she must play the princess to perfection, because one wrong move could lead to her death. Sci-fi with a bit of romance and horror thrown in, this book will have the reader on the edge of their seat at times and trying to figure out how the Vathic keep power at others. Book 2 won't be out until mid-2020, but I can't wait.
And now, probably I think the only lighthearted book I have on my list, Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. Deja and Josiah are seasonal best friends. For the last 4 years during high school, they've worked together at the best pumpkin patch in the whole wide world, and not many people know, but the best one's in Omaha, Nebraska. They say goodbye every Halloween and then are reunited every September 1st. But this Halloween is different. Josiah and Deja are finally seniors, and this is their last season at the pumpkin patch, and their last shift together, their last goodbye. Josiah is ready to spend the whole night feeling sad about it, but Deja isn't ready to let him. She has a plan. What if instead of moping around and slinging lima beans down at the succotash hut, they went out with a bang? They could walk around the pumpkin patch and see all the different areas of it. Also, Josiah could finally talk to that cute girl that he's been mooning over for 3 years. What if their last shift was an adventure which made the two of them realize that they could become year-round friends and not just seasonal best friends?
Oh, cute.
Yes.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
From that to something a little bit more dramatic, but not so much.
Yeah.
The Art of Feeling by Laura Timms. Samantha Herring has been in a constant pain since the accident that killed her mother. With no memory of the hit-and-run accident, she is in constant fog of depression, pushing away all of her friends. But then Sam meets Elliot, a reckless loner with an attitude and an amazing secret. He can't feel any pain. When they first meet, he is being beaten by the school's drug dealer and smiling through it all. Soon discovering his secret, she is jealous until she learns more about his condition. Elliot doesn't seem to care about anything at all, except maybe Sam. As they grow closer, they begin to confront Sam's painful memories of the accident, memories that may hold a startling truth about what really happened that day. For those who have read All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, this is one you want to try. Full of sad moments and uncovering the mystery of what really happened, it is a book that will make the reader think make the reader think. It's not for younger readers, but still a good book about facing reality.
Next book is In the Woods. I always want to say into. It's In the Woods by Carrie Jones and Stephen Wendell. It should have just been another quiet night on the farm when Logan witnesses an attack. The attacker looks human in shape, but has wet eyes and big teeth, and didn't act human, and is hiding in the woods. On the other side of the country, instead of hanging out with her friends, working so she can get new strings for her face, or being in New York City with her mom and Bill, a.k.a. husband number 3, Crystal is on her way with her dad to Oklahoma, to the area where Logan saw the attack. After Crystal and her dad arrive, several more people in town start disappearing. And as the attacks get closer and closer to Logan and Crystal, they have to find out who or what is behind everything. A friend of the family who is a professor at the college nearby may hold the answers, but when he goes missing, hope for finding out what is going on might have disappeared right along with him.
All right, so my last book for today is Lovely War by Julie Berry. Hephaestus has caught his wife Aphrodite and her lover Ares in a trap at the height of World War II. Together they decide to hold court with Hephaestus as judge, jury, and executioner. So to defend herself, Aphrodite tells him a story about 4 young people during World War I. It's 1917 when Hazel and James meet at a dance a week before he is to be sent to war. Hazel only went to play the piano, but with a little push from the goddess of love, these two fell in love that very night. Aubrey Edwards, a talented black jazz musician, is part of the 15th New York Infantry, an all-African-American regiment being sent to Europe to help end the Great War. Love is the last thing on his mind, but when he gets to France, he meets Colette Fournier, a Belgian who's already survived unspeakable tragedy at the hands of the Germans. Aphrodite seeks to answer the age-old question, why are love and war eternally drawn to one another?
My last book is called Rules for Banishing by Kate Alice Marshall. Once a year, the path appears in the forest, and the ghost of Lucy Gallows beckons. Who is brave enough to find her, and who will make it out of the woods? It's been exactly 1 year since Sarah's sister Becca disappeared, and her high school life is far from normal. With her sister gone, Sarah doesn't know whether her former friends don't like her anymore or are scared of her. The days of eating alone at lunch have started to blend together when a mysterious text message invites Sarah and her estranged friends to play the game and find the local ghost legend of Lucy Gallows. Sarah is sure this is the only way to find Becca before she's lost forever. Even though she's hardly spoken to them for a year, Sarah finds herself deep in the darkness of the forest with their former friends and their cameras following everyone down the path. Together they will have to draw on all their strength to survive. The road is rarely forgiving, and no one will be the same on the other side.
We want to thank you for joining us for these lovely book talks. And if you want to learn more about these books or other books, you can find us at the Poplar Creek Public Library.
Thank you.